All right, so what sustains you guys? What sustains you when you're in times of need, when you're in times of trouble, trial, tribulation, when you're in fear, when it's like you feel like just giving up? I was in 1 Kings chapter 19, and I love this chapter because there's so much gold here. But basically, to catch you up to what's happening, Elijah is on this ministry tour. He's doing all this amazing stuff for the Lord, and he kills these false prophets. And the word gets back to this evil woman named Jezebel, who hates God and hates Elijah, and basically says, "Hey, look, you killed these prophets. I'm going to kill you the same way." And so this freaks Elijah out, and he runs for his life. And what's interesting is that at this point, he was acting in the Lord's strength. He was in the Lord's will. He was moving and acting and ministering in the strength of the Lord. And then he goes, "You know what? I'm out." And he leaves. He runs. He leaves the strength of God. He leaves the presence of God, and he fears for his life. Grabs a servant and takes off. And this is what it says in verse 3. It says, "And he was afraid. He arose, ran for his life, and he came to Beersheba, which belongs to Judah, and left his servant there." And it says in verse 4, "But he himself," we're going to come back to that in a second, he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness, came and sat down under a juniper tree, and requested himself that he might die, and said, 'It's enough, Lord, take my life, for I'm no better than my fathers.'" And so basically Elijah he's at the end of his rope. He's done. He's like, I've done enough. I can't get any further on my own. Just take my life now. It's over. And what God really showed me was this. When he packed up in verse 4, it says that he himself, the word himself really stood out to me. And it's like, well, why himself? Well, obviously he left a servant, so he was by himself, but there's more to it. It wasn't that he was only by himself physically. He was also by himself spiritually. He left the presence of the Lord. He ran from where God was calling him to go in fear, which was sin, by the way. He doubts God and just takes off. And so now he's acting on his own strength, which before he was acting in the strength of the Lord. He was able to do all these miracles, all these amazing things, but now he's acting in his own strength. And guess how far he gets in his own strength, in his fear. It says this, "And he himself went a day's journey into the wilderness." One day. That's as far as he got. So let's fast forward the tape. So he gets on, he falls asleep under this juniper tree, and the angel of the Lord comes and touches him and basically says, "Hey, wake up, eat this food. It's time to go." So he eats this food. And this is so sweet. In verse 8, this is where the contrast comes in. In verse 8, it says, "So he arose and ate and drank and went in the strength of that food." He went in the strength of that food 40 days and 40 nights to Horeb, the mountain of God. So where Elijah got on his own strength one day, he got 40 days and 40 nights in the strength of the Lord, in the food that God provided him, the sustenance that God gave him. He got 40 days and 40 nights. And so where God challenged me when I was going through a season like this, he was like, how far can you go on your own? Like how far can you get on your own strength? How about you try mine? And so if you're in a season right now where you're just kind of at the end of your rope, you're like, "Man, I've tried everything. I'm tired. I'm depressed. I'm hurting financially, physically, spiritually. Stuff's going on at home, marriage, kids, whatever." How far can you go on your own strength? How far can you go? What I think God is challenging us today is he's saying, "Hey, look, go in my strength. Go in the sustenance that I give you." Now, Elijah had physical food. He had physical food, miraculous food that God was giving him. But for us, we need that spiritual sustenance. And that only comes through his word. It only comes through his word, right? And so if we're not in the word daily, right? Daily, especially when we're in time of need, like we're missing out on the sustenance that's going to sustain us, the food that's going to sustain us to get us through these problems, get us through these times where we're at the end of our rope. So guys, men of God, if you want to be spiritual leaders, you want to get through the seasons of struggle, get in the word. Receive God's word like it's food for your body, because that's the sustenance that's going to get you through this season. So guys, I hope that was helpful. I'm praying for you guys. Men of God, let's go in God's strength. All right? See ya.